Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, December 7, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is urging residents and motorists in low-lying areas prone to flooding, lahar or mud flows and landslide to be vigilant and exercise caution as a flash flood watch is in effect for St. Vincent and the Grenadines until further notice. According to the SVG Meteorological Services, a trough system continues to affect our islands and cloudy to overcast skies, pockets of light to heavy showers, periods of light rain and isolated thunderstorms are anticipated across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with fresh to strong wind speeds anticipated during the upcoming days, and squally conditions or higher gusts are likely to accompany showers. A marine advisory for above normal sea swells also remains in effect. Small craft operators and seabathers are urged to exercise caution for above normal sea swells and occasional gusty winds. Rainfall accumulations of approximately 3 to 5 inches with isolated higher amounts in mountainous areas are possible within the upcoming days. Prolonged rainfall increases the possibility of landslides. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable and there exists the possibility of flooding during the watch period. This flash flood watch may be upgraded to a warning at any time. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is therefore urging all residents, especially persons living near rivers and streams, to be vigilant. Residents in the red and orange volcano hazard zones are also advised to be vigilant and exercise caution as lahar flows within the river system is still possible. Lahars are a dense mixture of ash and water which usually occurs during heavy rain and creates a dangerous mud flow that can destroy everything in its path as it rushes down the volcano slopes and rivers. Residents and motorists are asked to continue to monitor, listen to updates from the SVG Meteorological Services and exercise extreme caution when traversing areas that are prone to flooding and landslides. In other local news now, we hear that Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves returned to the States last evening after participating in the leadership component of the ongoing UN Climate Conference, or COP28, taking place in Dubai. At a news conference today at Cabinet Room, Prime Minister Gonsalves highlighted the importance of small island states like St. Vincent and the Grenadines tackling and building resilience against the threat of climate change.
So what is happening in the village across St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the city is being affected by what is taking place in global warming. We're not contributing anything to this global warming to create a problem. I always say to people when they say, well, why should other countries pay for this damage? The major emitters of the carbon dioxide, the methane, why should they pay for it? Think by analogy. You have your house, you have a neighbor, and they're running the water in your land and mashing up your land. They're responsible. If they have a noxious substance on their land, preventing your quiet and peaceful enjoyment of your property, they're liable. They can take them to court. It's the same principle writ large between states. So we are here doing what we are doing, not contributing to global warming, and yet we are on the front line. And look, in the 2023 budget, in this budget of 2023, the one which we operate in now, on the capital side, over 60% of the capital budget has to do with climate change related issues, either adapting to climate change, either things which you try to do to prevent some bad things happening, or after bad things happen, to do the correction, to do the repair. And of course, we have to be adapting all the time. It's not cheap It's extremely expensive.
Prime Minister Gonzalez said St. Vincent and the Grenadines has made enormous strides despite a number of challenges that are holding us back, not within our control, such as the issue of climate change.
That's why a lot of discussion which takes place in many of these countries takes place in an abstract manner without any consideration for what is taking place in the real world, in the real environment, and a lot of it is really guided by people who are not interested in addressing these problems, not dealing with solutions. For instance, the leader of the opposition in 2017 at a meeting at the OECS Authority said that it's really the first time he is beginning to have some appreciation of what climate change is about. Well, you know, this climate change question, scientists have been talking about it since the late 19th century. And were warning, but it wasn't coming to mainstream. And then 100 years later, in 1992, in Rio, the three major conventions were passed, those which I just referred to: the Framework Convention on Climate Change, the one on biodiversity, and the one on desertification, land degradation, drought. And people, this man-made climate change is getting worse, and it has to be addressed. And this is why we are there, to work with other countries. And of course, I had to go there because we are building the relationship in a practical, immediate sense, strategically with the United Arab Emirates. So there I did these two speeches, but I had a lot of, as everybody who knows me, you know, I have a lot of interaction with leaders of all sorts of different things. Leaders in Brazil, France, Holland, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America, CARICOM countries, you know, it's, and then of course I had a meeting with high officials in the UAE and with the foreign minister.
People across St. Vincent and the Grenadines are being further encouraged to get tested for HIV/AIDS and seek treatment early once diagnosed with the virus. The latest encouragement comes from infectious disease specialist Dr. Gerald Thompson, who was on the VC3 Roundtable Talk program last evening, explained some of the factors why some persons with the virus are getting more sick or deteriorate at a faster rate than others, noting that there are a number of factors which can contribute to this.
I think that in the same way that some persons are more prone to diabetes, persons who are going to consume alcohol, persons who have not changed their lifestyle. But the most important thing we found is that if you're HIV positive and you are not on treatment, you are likely to progress over a period of time to AIDS. But treatment allows that process to be slowed down, and for individuals, we halting that particular process. Of course, over a period of time, there could be drug resistance, the drugs could fail, there could be other factors that come into play. But one of the more important things is that if an individual goes on treatment early in the course of their diagnosis, we could prevent the progression to the later stages of AIDS and so forth, and the complications that come with it.
Dr. Thompson further stresses the importance for people to get tested and seek early treatment once diagnosed with the virus.
And I think that's why throughout the world they've been promoting testing. I mean, I'm glad to see around the place there free tests are being offered, tests are being offered at clinics. I mean, I could hear a little bit more about that. I'm so impressed with that, with the Ministry of Health and the organizers making tests available to people and providing the circumstance that they could go in and get the test without the stigma and the shame and all these other factors. And we have to encourage people. It's your interest to go and get tested early so that you could receive treatment early and stop the progression to a later stage, as opposed to hiding and the disease is progressing all the time.
In regards to challenges of encouraging people to get tested, President of CARE SVG and AIDS Coordinator for the public sector entities, Winfield Tanis Abbott, said they've been doing a number of testing throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including the colleges, and they are seeing a number of young people between the age group 17 to 25 coming to get tested. He, however, noted that getting people to take their medication is a challenge.
And we have also started an antenatal, where we go to 3 different clinics to do testing with mothers, and we have also noticed that the mothers are bringing their boyfriends to be tested as well. And it has been going good. One of the things we're having problem with is adherence. You can, yes, get tested and go into treatment, but after a while, when persons start seeing themselves looking good and feeling good, then that becomes a problem for us. Person adhering and continue on their treatment, going to Dr. Davies, seeking, making sure that they have enough medication and so forth. But most of the progression to AIDS in St. Vincent, or persons who start deteriorating, has to do with when you look at the persons in St. Vincent who come for treatment who's HIV positive, most of them are from the lower end, and as what we'll say, the lower end of society, and the little food package that is given to them is not able to sustain them because most of them are unemployed. And because they think that they have to have this big set of food to eat in order to take their medication. And we will drive into them, whatever little you have in your pantry, you can use, and you can be satisfied with that. You don't have to have the macaroni pints to eat to take your medication, and that's the impression a lot of them get. You must eat a belly full in order to have your medication.
The Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs, in collaboration with the Center for Enterprise Development Incorporation, the CED, earlier today hosted the end of the 3rd and final cohort of the Eastern Caribbean Greenpreneurs Incubator Program at the CED Conference Room. Speaking at a closing ceremony, officer in charge of CED, Keisha Phillips, said the end-of-year program showcase is being held to recognize the efforts of the alumni, coaches, mentors, and the invaluable opportunity and support provided by the Global Green Growth Institute. Phillips said in 2021, the Global Green Growth Institute contacted the Center for Enterprise Development, the CED, to provide in-country support for the first phase of the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. Phillips said again in 2022, this GGI turned to the CED to support 2 iterations of the accelerator and incinerator programs with higher input after the successful completion of cohort 1.
As such, CED provided communication, institutional and technical support to raise awareness among the CED provided communication, institutional and technical support to raise awareness of the ECGEI, and also identified and mobilized mentors, coaches, subject matter experts and potential program applicants. Additionally, we supported incubator participants through one-on-one coaching, organized hosted events. CED worked closely with the project implementation team under the leadership and guidance of the GGGI Caribbean Program Officer. We also worked closely with the project implementation team to ensure that the outputs delivered are in line with the key performance indicators. As a regional project, the ECGEI was by no means undersubscribed, and thus a total of 12 businesses or teams comprising 19 persons or 19 members from St. Vincent and the Grenadines were entered into the project and have successfully completed it. Hence, our celebrations today. These businesses and teams have successfully graduated from the months of mentorship and training under the ECGEI and are now on their paths to develop their ideas and businesses into what we hope to become successful role models in the green industry.
Phillips also highlighted that of the 12 teams of greenpreneurs, 7 persons were awarded seed grants under the Incubator Business Plan competition, while 1 person received an interest-free loan under the Accelerator program. She also highlighted that the latest grant winner of the Incubator program in Cohort 3, Shane Compton of SVG Microgreens Agriculture, was announced in November this year.
The GGGI project is indeed a welcome and very important one that is helping green entrepreneurs to develop their businesses or business ideas in order to manage the impact of their operations on the local environment, the communities, and the economy by minimizing the adverse effects, or any adverse effects for that matter. I want to publicly, on behalf of the CED, commend these green entrepreneurs, which we've coined those two words, and they are referred to as greenpreneurs, not green entrepreneurs, greenpreneurs, and also to the GGGI for its dedication to equipping these countries like St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the requisite information and skill sets needed to grow vibrant green businesses. I thank you all. Thanks to GGGI. I thank you, the alumni, coaches, and mentors, because without you, this program could not have been a success.
Also at today's event, mentor Franz George and coach Afia James Clark shared their experiences and post-program progress.
I'm overjoyed in the sense that such a program like this exists because it is needed. From the perspective as a organization and business consultant, my professional opinion is we operate in business like as if we're in the 1970s. Extremely traditional. We still consider it to be a case where we have an idea, we just run with it, we set up shop, who come and buy and we sell, and that's the end of business. No. There's way more to that. You have to do your business plan, you have to do industry analysis, you have to do your SWOT analysis. So many different things that by the time you finish, you realize that sometimes it takes even like up to a year to prepare to launch. Not a year to just get going, but to prepare to launch, right? And I was so grateful that this particular program, albeit a very intense program, really helped to change person's perspective on business. I helped them to realize that if you are to be successful as an entrepreneur, and if you are to be the persons to pave the way in the area of green entrepreneurship, there's much more to it than just having an idea and hoping that people eventually endorse that idea.
Today, as we wrap up the program, I wish to congratulate all of the entrepreneurs that participated in the Eastern Caribbean Green Entrepreneurship Initiative. The journey was not easy as you encountered sleepless nights and frustrations, juggling an intense program, work, and personal life. Yet, you stuck it out in spite of the various challenges, and for that you are all winners in your own right. The Greenpreneurs program has provided you with an excellent start, and so I encourage you to continue developing your capacity and wish you every success as you move forward with your businesses.
While noting that there is a clear strategy that the state is pursuing in dealing with the country's crime situation, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at a news conference today said it requires an all-nation approach.
And when I say all of nation, I don't mean political parties must get together and there be grandstanding by one side or the other and people seeking advantage. I'm talking about real flesh and blood people, organizing families, in schools, in churches, in the community. Families have an important role to play in this matter. How young people and especially young men are brought up. The schools, the churches have important roles. The community has an important role. There are some communities which a culture of some criminal activity has developed more than in other areas. But all communities have very good people. The majority of the people are good people. And they have to work to help in each community, the state has an important role to play through the police, the Coast Guard, the prisons, the law courts, the prosecution service, regional institutions, like the regional security system, like the implementation agency for crime and security in CARICOM, cooperation with international bodies, the USA, UK, Canada, France, Interpol. I mean, just, of course, I want to see if we can have an officer be seconded to Interpol. I'm exploring this, the commissioner, and I have to talk more about this. In short, totally to deal with all of the various elements.
The Prime Minister said a lot of resources are also being made available to the police and Coast Guard service to help fight crime.
And there are a lot of tools which we are using, and we have ordered scanners for the ports and for the containers and boxes and so on. And we have to make sure that we have a greater cooperation with the United States of America, where most of the guns come. We're doing law reform. As you know, that we went to Parliament with the first reading of a bill and put it to select committee, increasing the penalties across the board. But before we increase the penalties, and we're having a discussion, a public discussion, I've okayed the information to go into the newspapers and go online and so forth from the Attorney General chambers when I was away. In fact, people think we were earlier away. You're not doing work. But with modern communication, you can be away and doing your work. I've had discussions with individuals from the regional judiciary, had with the Director of Public Prosecution, with the police, the previous commissioner, now this commissioner, and a number of other reforms. We have done some important reforms already in relation to evidence and procedure, but we need to do some more. We probably will have to go to Parliament to extend the time for which you can hold somebody. That was 48 hours, maybe a little longer. We have done something in relation to preliminary inquiries, but Defense Counsel would still insist on the preliminary inquiry rather than having what you may call a paper committal with the statements being made. And the lawyer may say, the defense would say, well, okay, we'll go straight to trial. But a lot of times, they say no, go to the PI, and part of it is not only in relation to the merits of the case, because they want to, sometimes a monetary thing, the lawyers want to make sure that they don't like me to say this, but I know the system works, to collect that piece of change for the PI, for the preliminary inquiry, and so on and so forth. And maybe we need to change that and let the...
Noting that a case is being made in relation to murder trials and some other trials to do away with jury trials and have trials done by judge alone, Prime Minister Gonzalez said as Minister of National Security, he has given serious reflection for a public conversation on the matter.
Because it would mean that we will be changing in some fundamental ways. Some matters, the way some criminal matters have been dealt with. But the circumstances may well justify. And I'm continuing discussions on these matters. I know by raising these, there are some human rights persons are going to jump at me. But the point about it is this: I'm not saying that anything must be taken away from procedural fairness. All the constitutional requisites would be there, or the presumption of innocence will still be there. All of these things would be there. It's just that some of the procedures, you may need to alter them because it's a different world which is evolving, and we have to respond accordingly. So I just want to put those out for public reflections. Definitely, we're going to see increase in penalties for the firearm pretty soon. And we're going to give an opportunity through the amnesty, which I announced in on Independence Day, for us to be able to give those persons with guns a chance. Bring them in. If you're found with them, there'll be higher penalties. And when that happens, I don't want a mother or father or a girlfriend to be calling me and complaining and say, well, it's a first time he had it, a first offense, and you know, before he might have get 18 months or 3 years, and now he getting 5 years or 6 years, you know. But the guns are killing people, and I am sure that right-thinking persons will appreciate the kind of discussion which I'm initiating here through this press briefing.
The Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force said it has initiated a thorough investigation into a recent article published by Eyewitness News titled "Cop in Uniform Lends Gun to Man to Threaten Woman," dated Wednesday, December 6, 2023. The police say upon becoming aware of the concerning allegations, Deputy Commissioner of Police Frankie Joseph took immediate action by offering a comprehensive inquiry into the matter, noting the SVG Police Force is committed to upholding the highest standards of integrity and accountability within its ranks. The police said the investigation will focus on verifying the accuracy of the reported incident, ensuring transparency, and holding any individuals involved accountable for their actions, emphasizing the SVG Police Force dedication to maintaining public trust and addressing any misconduct within its force promptly. Deputy Commissioner Frankie Joseph was quoted as saying, "We take any allegations of misconduct seriously and are committed to a thorough and impartial investigation. The public can rest assured that we will leave no stone unturned in getting to the truth in this matter," unquote. The SVG Police Force is encouraging anyone with information regarding the incident to come forward and assist in the investigation. And the Crime Prevention Unit of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, in collaboration with the National Commission on Crime Prevention, will host a National Crime Prevention March and exhibition tomorrow, Friday, December 8th, 2023, under the theme "Building Resilient Communities Through Crime Prevention." The police say the march will commence at 10 a.m. at Heritage Square, right onto Bay Street, along Bay Street, right onto Higginson Street, right onto Grenville Street, along Halifax Street, then back to Heritage Square, where the rally and the exhibition will take place. During the rally, brief remarks will be delivered by Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police Trevor Bailey and Reverend Dr. Cecil Richard. The keynote address will be delivered by Luan Thomas, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security. The police say there will be a multiplicity of crime prevention brochures, cameras, and other security apparatus on display, both by the police and members of the business community. There will also be cultural presentations and performances by several local entertainers and artists. Persons participating in the march are encouraged to wear a white top. The general public is invited to attend tomorrow's event.